Hello, everyone. This is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith, doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review. And today, we're reviewing a card by Shadowreign, our good friend Shadowreign. And what do we got here? We got a 3-mana Planeswalker, Esper Planeswalker. Okay, and I don't want to hear none of this obscure nonsense, okay? It's Esper. Get it through your heads, people. Which, random side note, was anyone disappointed that they decided to make new quote-unquote shards rather than go back to Shards of Alara? I've wanted them to go back to Alara for like a really long time. I think it's a really cool plane. Instead, they went back to the 50s. But anyway, just sort of random side note. Let me know if you were also kind of waiting for them to go back to Alara and then were disappointed when they didn't. Anyway, let's talk about this card. So this is Kimlee, Artifice Visionary. Okay. Kimlee. Starts at 3 loyalty. Contrive. When you cast this spell, you may discard a non-land card. If you do, copy the next artifact spell you cast this turn. A copy of an artifact spell becomes a token. Okay, yeah, sure. So if you cast this, it lets you also copy your next artifact. Okay. Oh, if you discard a non-land card. I see. Okay, interesting. Seems good. All right, let's see what we got here. +2. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you exile 2 artifacts from your graveyard. Okay. -5. Destroy all other non-land, non-artifact permanents. Each player gains 1 life for each permanent they control destroyed this way. Excuse me. -7. Return any number of artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You lose 2 life for each artifact put onto the battlefield this way. Okay. So we got blue, white, black. So that's cool. I like that. The effects. Okay, so there's a lot here. So +2. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you exile 2 artifact cards from your graveyard. Okay. This has the potential to be really busted. If you have artifacts in your graveyard, +2 to draw 2 cards on a 3-mana Planeswalker is very good. Even +2 draw 2 discard a card is very strong on a 3-mana Planeswalker. So like let's compare this to some other 3-mana Planeswalkers. Okay, we're looking for Planeswalker. In mana value equal to tree. All right, we're not gonna look at Oko. So, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. All right, this is actually the same. This is Esper. So, what? Does this even do anything? Draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library? That seems really bad. Anyway, regardless, this does not actually give you any card advantage. Let's see what else we got here. Exile top card of your library. If it's red, you may cast it. That's just kind of like a draw 1, kind of. Dak Faden draws 2, then discards 2. And Dak Faden's a really good Planeswalker. This guy surveils 2. This guy makes somebody discard a card. I'm looking for some blue Planeswalkers. Okay. So Jace Beleren, -1 to draw a card. Jace Beleren is not the most powerful Planeswalker, but still. Jace Mirror Mage, scry 2 or draw 1. Of course, you can kick around, but that then he costs 5. This guy maybe can get more value, but only if you've got some creatures attacking. Draw a card, then discard a card. So this is like sometimes draw a card. Sometimes you go up 1 card. Liliana, each player discards. Narset, I guess, but Narset is a -2. Scry one. I mean, Teferi Time Raveler is like a really busted one, and he draws a card for a -3. So there's that. Draw a card, then discard. Yeah, so this effect I think is above the current. I think this is the strongest card advantage ability on a 3-mana Planeswalker I've ever seen. That doesn't even mention the fact that discarding card is often good for you because, I mean, okay, so this is a -7, so it's like not super relevant, but I mean, this wants you to have artifacts in your graveyard, right? And often you can make use of cards in your graveyard. So I think that this is too good. On a 3-mana Planeswalker, I think that's way too good. But let's continue. So -5. Destroy all other non-land, non-artifact permanents. Each player gains 1 life for each permanent they control destroyed this way. Okay, so basically you player and you +2. And then if you want next turn, you can Wrath the board. Well, non-artifact. That's pretty annoying because, okay, so you play this on 3, right? And you +2 this Planeswalker. They are now heavily incentivized to pressure your Planeswalker, right? Some decks can just remove this with like an instant or sorcery spell, but some decks have to attack this with creatures, right? And this thing's at 5 loyalty. If you're on the play, this card seems abysmal to play against if you're playing a creature deck. Because it's like, okay, so you play this on the play, maybe they've got a 2-drop, you go up to 5 loyalty, you get to look at 2 cards, right? And even if you don't necessarily go up multiple cards, I mean, you go up 1 card, but you're still seeing 2 additional cards. So the chances that you can deal with the creature they play is very high. So they'll attack this guy, they'll attack her back down to 3 next turn, and they'll play creature. And now it becomes a game of like, they have to play creatures to pressure you, and if they ever stumble, you're just going to Wrath their board. So you're going to punish them for trying to kill your Planeswalker. That seems really abysmal. It seems like a really bad combination to have on a Planeswalker that costs 3 mana. And not only that, but in the late game, you can also play this and just get a free copy of the next artifact you cast, which you can find by drawing cards, by the way. So you cast this, you discard another non-land card. So I do like that you have to discard. That's good. And then the next artifact spell you cast gets duplicated. So not only is this card busted in the early game, but it even has extra late game applications. Like, imagine you play this on 6. You play this, and then you play like Phyrexian Metamorph. Which enters the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or creature on the battlefield. So now you get 2... Sorry, what am I doing? So So now you get 2 of the best creatures on the battlefield, and then you just start drawing 2 cards. And those are artifacts, so if you wrath the board, you get to keep those creatures. Yeah, this card seems way too good to me. I don't even care so much about the -7. Ultimates, I don't think matter with Planeswalkers, really. I mean, you get to it pretty quick, I guess, if they don't mess with this guy. If they don't take any loyalty off, you get there in 2 turns, but you have to have artifacts in your graveyard that are worth sacrificing your Planeswalker for. Like, you know, I'm not too worried about this -7, but this combination of the fact that she has the best card drawing ability I've ever seen on a 3-mana Planeswalker, combined with the fact that she punishes your opponent for trying to kill this Planeswalker, for like putting creatures in play. I mean, okay, you can do this in like a Super Friends deck by playing Wraths, but at least there you have to use a card. Here you actually get it for free on the Planeswalker. And you have this additional late game utility of this Contrive ability. Yeah, I mean, the only downside of this card is it doesn't exactly protect itself, so you do need to have ways to keep her alive, but looking at 2 cards every turn is a great way to keep this alive. I mean, everybody hates Teferi Time Raveler, and Teferi Time Raveler, he can bounce things, so, I mean, but he can only do that once every, like, so, like, he bounces something, you draw a card, right? It's obnoxious. It's a tempo swing. But then for the next, like, 3 turns, he doesn't do anything, really. I mean, he does have that really annoying pass. Let's not forget about that. Actually, that's probably the worst thing about Teferi. But just like consider that when it comes to like card advantage, or like Jace Beleren. Okay, Jace Beleren, you can go minus, and now you've drawn 2 cards, which is fine. And then you can either draw a 3rd card, or you can go +2, and they get to draw a card now, and then you minus. And he doesn't do anything else other than draw cards. This card right here draws cards, puts things in your graveyard, which is often a good thing, or draws 2 cards, goes up 2 loyalty every time she draws cards, and she can wrath the board. Yikes, man. Yeah, I think this card is just too strong. I would prefer to have this be the -7, this Wrath ability. And maybe find something else to put in this slot here. And I think that this is just too good. Like, I think honestly, this could say draw a card, then discard a card unless you exile an artifact from your graveyard. Something like that. Even that's pretty strong. But at least then you're not always going up a card every time you use it for +2. Like, that's a lot. I mean, this is like similar power level to Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, where he just Tefero. Oh, what am I even doing? Right, where this guy he just straight up draws a card for +1, by the way, not +2, and he does get this untap 2 lands thing, which is definitely very relevant. But this guy costs 5. Okay, this costs 3 +2s to always draw at least 1 card, seize 2 cards, so you get card selection. Discards a card, which is often not a dead card, right? But then sometimes can just draw 2 cards for +2. If you've got artifacts in your graveyard. This card's just way too strong. Way too strong. And this Contrive here feels contrived, to be honest. Like, no, okay, maybe that's not true. I don't want to necessarily say that, but I mean, maybe you just get rid of this ability here, and you just make that like a minus, right? Where it's like, okay, -3, copy the next artifact spell you cast. Right? I think that could work for this other ability. Because then she's still doing artifact-y things, right? But yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of this one. I mean, I think this is a I think if this Planeswalker got printed in Standard, it would probably get banned. I think this is too good. It's too obnoxious to play against. And I'm not seeing anything here that's particularly like that. So a card being overpowered is not enough to give something a low grade, because if there's cool ideas there, then that can be enough to raise a grade up. But I don't see anything on here that's particularly unique, or I mean, it's really hard to do a unique Planeswalker. Okay, I'm not saying like it has to be unique, but if it's quote unquote just another Planeswalker, which this kind of is, then it should at least be balanced, and this card is not. So okay, so that's enough talking about this. I have to give this one a. I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. Is that right? 6? I don't think I can go up to a 7 here. I think the design here is flawed, in my personal opinion. I think the combination of the +2 draw and the -5 wrath is just such an insane combination that it's just. I think that's just a bad combination of abilities to put on a 3-mana Planeswalker. So that's my review of Kimlee Artifice Visionary, 6 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching.